Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. All right, so we had a mixed close on Friday over in the grain trade with the row crops higher. Wheat was lower and all the livestock also ending higher in chip. Let's start off with soybeans. Some early pressure on Friday, but we came back nicely. How much of that was the no per crush figure, or was it fund short covering?
Yeah, I think a little of both. I mean, I think the NOPA crush report, as soon as that was released, it was a direct correlation. You saw some buying come into the market, and we pulled the beans well off of our session lows. And I think towards the close, you saw a little bit of a boost there from the funds. I think that we're above some of the key moving averages that they watch when they as far as entering and exiting positions, and they had a near record short position as of about a week to 10 days ago in the bean market. So I like the way we close. It says to me that the funds are probably done being short. But the key is how much farmer selling, especially the Brazilian farmer, is going to be there on the rally. And I think early action this week is really going to tell the tale as to how much more the funds are going to come out of those shorts.
Right, but the fact that we had a higher weekly close, hopefully we can build on that in the soybeans. And it looks like maybe we've kind of turned the corner on products as well. I mean, soybean oil has just been on a tear lately.
Yeah, soybean oil back to by far the leader. The one negative about that big NOPA crush report, as we crush these record numbers of beans, our soy meal stocks are increasing, and that's going to be
Yeah.
something that we're really going to have to deal with going forward. As this renewable, and diesel, green diesel, I should say, comes and gets more prevalent, we're really going to have to struggle with these stocks of meal. But soy oil is really become the leader. Palm oil put a new yearly high in, 12-month high, and so the vegetable oil markets across the world seem to be heating back up again.
No doubt. Hopefully that'll continue to push the bean market. Corn market looked like on Friday it wanted to try to follow soybeans. We did manage to end with a little bit of a lower weekly close, though. If we could ever get wheat to bottom, do you think we could have a pretty good rally in the corn market?
Yeah, and like you said, corn's kind of caught in the middle, right? Wheat just can't seem to get off the mat in here, and that's largely because of the pall that's cast by China canceling not only U.S. wheat, but they've canceled confirmed Australian wheat purchases. There's rumors they canceled a lot of French wheat purchases, and so that's really kind of thrown the wheat market a little bit for a loop here. So wheat certainly is holding corn back. But even though we saw a really ugly close, really the last two trading sessions of last week in wheat were just brutal, the corn market was able to shrug that off a little bit. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a question of whether the funds want to cover some shorts in the corn market. If they do, going into month end, I think that we can kind of divorce ourselves from the wheat market a little bit in the case of corn. If not, and the funds kind of sit back on their heels, we're probably going to be more tied to the wheat market and the action there.
The other problem with corn, okay, now exports have picked up. We've gotten some flash tenders, so demand looks like it's picking up here. The problem is when we get up into chart resistance areas, we also have farmers selling, and so it's stopping us, isn't it, from moving much past these moving averages you talk about?
So far it has, and so there's going to be a back and a forth kind of a battle out here, and I think corn and beans are the same. It's just the U.S. farmer has a large percentage of their old crop corn left for sale. So as the funds come out and buy this market, it's going to be met by heavy farmer selling. From the U.S. producer in corn. Same situation in beans, only in reverse. It's going to be the Brazil farmer that's left with a lot of unpriced inventory in their beans. So I think case in point, last week we saw the highs of the week and some farmer selling. It pushes us off the highs, and towards the end of the week, the funds came in back to buy it and gave us a firm close on Friday. So I think that's going to be for the next several weeks, depending on what the funds do. There's going to be this back and forth. The good news is that selling above the market from the Brazil farmer and the U.S. farmer, it's out now at those levels, and so that may clear us for a next higher target. But you're going to be faced with that probably for the foreseeable future until the Brazil farmer on beans and U.S. farmer on corn gets those old crop supplies whittled down a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned end of the month as one, I guess, catalyst for getting the funds to cover more of their short positions, and the fact that we're going into prospective plantings and quarterly stocks at the end of the month. And we're also going to be watching Brazilian weather.
Yeah, I think the Brazil weather, in the case of their second crop corn, that they're pretty much done planting right now. You got the whole growing season ahead. It has been on the dry side. So I do get a sense that the market is really watching this Brazil weather in the case of second crop corn. As you get this, I think this is an important week ahead from a lot of perspectives because, then we've got the week following the quarterly stocks and acreage report and the end of the month, and it's a short week with Good Friday being the last, the last trading day of the month and the markets being closed. So we're steaming right into the end of the month. And if we can hold it together in this week ahead or build on some gains, I think that spurs the funds to come out of some additional shorts and get, maybe more aggressive with the buying into the last week of March in here.
That's all dependent on what comes out of the prospective plantings and quarterly stocks report, though, too, right?
A little bit. You had to throw that out there.
I know you hate
It's
those
real.
reports.
I despise that report. I really do. I just wish that they would revamp it and change it. It's old news. The market, in the case of beans, have had a big move here that can affect planted acreage, but it's not going to be reflected in that report because it's as of the first few days of March. So, obviously the stocks and acreage report is going to have a big effect. History tells you that the March acreage report isn't very historically accurate, but it will affect the market, right, wrong, or indifferent. And no matter what they say, it will have a big influence on the market. And then you get into, those first few days of April, and you're into, new month, new quarter. What do the funds do? And so things could get really interesting here towards the end of March and the first, few trading sessions of April.
All right, let's move over to the cattle market. We did close higher on Friday after some kind of poor technical action on Thursday, and we had a higher weekly close. We had record cash trade in a lot of areas, but are we starting to top this market? Are we getting some topping action, in your opinion?
Well, we did have that big reversal last week, and it looked ugly. But I think as long as the cash market holds together, the breaks will be bought, and the funds seem like they want to continue to buy every break. And it's paid people to buy every break in cattle. So I think largely it depends on the cash market. If we can hold it together, I think that we've got some better upside. Now, I think maybe part of that reversal is maybe the futures market just got a little bit ahead of itself as far as where cash, was going to trade here. So I think it's dependent on cash. It seemed to kind of coincide with, I'm talking about that break last week, the CPI and the PPI reports. So when we get these big financial reports, particularly, when it comes to inflation, we see outside market, the dollar flying around, the interest rate market flying around. I think it creates some nervousness because, beef obviously hitting the consumer in the pocketbook really hard right now. And it hasn't seemed to matter yet, but eventually, I think that's the straw that breaks the camel's back when it comes to the beef market, but we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we are hinged to that. That is for sure. But boy, these supply side economic factors continue to be pretty darn bullish. Okay, crude oil market finally crossed the $80 mark this last week. Do you think that market's going to continue to push higher? And are we trying to price in some inflation there, like you just talked about?
Yeah, I think it's. I think there's some fundamental reasons with our supply tightening here and inventories dropping, and I think with the inflation reports showing us that this is still front and center. I mean, inflation, maybe it's not as bad as it was, but it's still well above the level we need. So I'm getting a sense maybe there's some money coming in on the sidelines. Maybe rotating out of the stock market, which is at all-time highs. Maybe trying to buy commodities. Seems like crude oil and the energy markets. Are kind of the bellwether as far as the inflation trade. But boy, we saw some big moves here, new all-time highs essentially in the gold market. Cocoa obviously has some fundamental reasons. There's some different commodities out there that are really holding up and rallying. And so I think the crude oil market is maybe gathering some new money off the sidelines. And I think the close maybe north of 81 here for the close is going to be the highest close in crude oil front month-wise for 3 or 4 months. So that might bring some momentum buying in the energy complex.
Yeah, there is a lot of inflationary buying going on in different portions of the commodity sector for sure. All right, thanks for joining us, Chip. Chip
Thanks.
Nellinger with Blue Reef Agri-Marketing, and that's Markets Now.